as a foreigner teacher, does this role really influence the students' reaction on learning principle of economics? So I was thinking about doing a research project about that. And but my expertise is not on education, so that's why I find this group. Okay, and I read your missions and I look over what you guys did and the previous presentations you guys had. I was thinking about maybe joining this group can bring me more information, more resources, and to continue my study in the future. So I'm here to learn. And so that's why I sent out an application for the board member to Dr. Kings. Yeah. And then she replied me very quick. And she told me we have a conference going on. Yeah, I know that. And I do want to be here. And then she asked me, I said, I definitely will attend the conference. And then she asked me, can you present something? Okay. Here is the problem. Can I present something related with instructional strategies? It seems I really just have a topic and idea about that. And then there comes this one. And because when I saw your email, my student was sit right in front of me. And I asked her, do you want me to present this research? And she said, oh, that's great if we can show our research in a conference. And then I asked her, do you want to join me? And then she took out her calendar and she told me she can. And because she has a very important group project due today, and which is going to influence her final grade. And she's going to present our research in a conference in Texas next week, which means that she has to skip 3 days class for that presentation. So, it's gonna be crucial to ask her to skip more things to be here. So unfortunately, she couldn't be here. And so this slides, like most of the slides made by her, and most of the work we have done is by her, so I'm presenting for her. Okay, and so this is the research we did. This research starts from the end of 2015, and she was my principal class student, and we were having an actual credits assignment about reading articles about the economics behind human trafficking. And then she found out this is a really interesting topic. And also she's working with IJM. Have you guys heard about IJM? International Justice Mission, and which is a sub-organization from the United Nations. And they're doing some human trafficking, like the educational program for different campus in the United States. And she was one of the member in CNU. And then, so she came to me and she talked to me about her idea, and then we wrote a proposal out, and we applied for CNU Summer Scholar Program, and luckily we got in, and we got a fund for this research program, and then so we did it, and we finally came out a paper at the end of last year, and and luckily this paper has been published in Virginia Economics Journal just a couple months earlier. And we feel so grateful and so excited about this project. And so what I'm gonna present today is actually mainly about academic research. And but at the end, I will talk about some inspiration I learned from this experience. All right, so basically this is her, Alexandra Hanscom, and she's a very interesting student because she's not econ major. She's not even a social science major at all. She's a major in arts history. And it is amazing to have an interdisciplinary study with her. actually she brought a lot of ideas about how to help those, people who suffered from the consequence of human trafficking. And actually she's career goal is going to be a educator in the future and related more with the social work. And she wanna help more people to get through, the tragedies and the PTSDs using some arts therapy or music therapy methodologies. Because I don't quite get that, right? Actually, because I'm not that major, Yeah, that's what she told me about. And then, so this is where, like I said, this is where this research starts. And it starts from actual guidance assignments, and which is the reading about Witten's, Schechter, and the Gallus paper in 2009. And this paper introducing the economics behind the human trafficking. And in this paper, we're looking at the demand side and the supply side theoretically, and create a model, a structure to analyze the criminal activities about human trafficking. And so basically the current situation about human trafficking, this is the most recent data about human trafficking. And we have victims with 150 different citizenships has been identified in 124 countries across the world. So which means most of the countries involved with human trafficking. And either it could be original country, there could be the origin country or destination country. And out of this 124 countries, out of those victims, we have almost half of them are women. And there's only 18% of men and 12% boys and 21% of girls. And the human trafficking we're talking about here is not only labor trafficking and the sex trafficking. We also have those son preference trafficking, because we know in some developing country and the families have some preference. If they cannot have a son in their family, they're probably going to buy one, okay? And also because the importance of son, that makes those girls become easier to be sold out, okay? And so this is the reports from United Nations Office of Drug and Crime, which is UNODC. And so this is indicate the main destination countries for human trafficking, which is labeled by blue. So we can see most of them exist in the Western Central Europe, North America, basically the north part of the American continent, and the Middle East. And what we study about is about Americas and Eurasia. And we did not include the Middle East because we're not able to find sufficient data, okay? And human trafficking, I'm gonna show you guys the data here. Actually, the data and the estimated victims has a huge gap between that. All right. So then, why human trafficking exists? It's straightforward. Why human trafficking exists? Because there's a market, right? We have a supply, we have a demand, then we have a market. Why supply exists? Because we have a demand. People want those forced labor. People need those sexual labors, right? And for some countries, those it's like the sex business is forbidden, and right, and then so sometimes we're gonna traffic some people into the country and force them to do the sex business, and this is the same thing as the labor as well. So for labor trafficking, lots of work, we can think about in the United States. We actually has lots of forced, I couldn't say it's forced labor, we have lots of illegal labors, right? This being an issue for a long time, and the Congress debate about them for a long time. And why they exist? Actually, because we need them, right? When you need to do some work on your lawn, if you hire American labor, they're gonna charge you $200. If you hire a Mexican, they're gonna charge you $20, right? So this is why human trafficking exists. And we have a demand, we have the supplier, we do have this two-party, which means we're gonna need a market, right? So who is going to behave on the market? We have those criminal groups. And those groups, for developed country, they probably just working underground. But in those developing country, starters are different. They're actually working with the government sometimes. Government has been corrupted by them and to get more benefits from this business, And then, so for supply, and so this is Dr. Kara and from Harvard University, and when he was doing his law study in Harvard University, he wrote some articles about human trafficking in the Harvard Law Review, and this is what he wrote in 2011. The supply of contemporary trafficked slaves is promoted by long-standing factors such as poverty, lawlessness, social instability, military conflict, environmental disasters, corruption, and acute bias against female genders and minority ethnicities. So the reason for supply, there's infinite reasons for human trafficking, for those trafficked human supply, all right? And for demand, actually the reason for demand is easy. It is straightforward. What are we looking for? We're looking for benefits from this business, right? And why we're hire all those illegal labor, those forced labor, because they're cheap, just like I said, right? And historical data showed us, so in 1850, to hire a trafficked labor, we have to pay $9,500 to $11,000. But right now, look at how much we pay for trafficked laborers. It was only $420, and this is the average for the entire world. And which means we can make more than 300 to 500 profits from hiring those people, okay? And she read those articles, and she read a couple economic research articles about human trafficking, and so most of the articles was looking at, just like Dr. Kara indicated over here, was looking at different factors which has influenced the supply of human trafficking. And also, most of them are talking about sex trafficking, because sex trafficking is actually the most common trafficking case in the entire world. And also, trafficking, most of the time, people are not willing to report trafficking behavior, especially for those people from a developing country, from a really poor country. They're not willing to report them. Why? Because this might be the only way they can feed their family. If they report people who traffic them here, they will lose their job. If they lose their job, their family will be starving, right? And it's also for those sex trafficked girls. When they traffic into a country, don't